Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Secrets of a Witch podcast with me, Sabrina Scott, where I talk all about life, love, healing, transformation, witchcraft, tarot, divination, spirituality, healing, and everything in between. I hope you guys had a great eclipse. I'm sure the vibes are still reverberating. Totally makes sense that that would be the case if that is the case for you. And today, I think we're going to do a shorter episode. And whenever I say that, it always ends up being really long. But I'm going to try to keep this kind of brief, just for fun, just because I usually just babble forever and I want to have a shorter episode for once. Okay, so earlier, earlier, I went to, this is probably a few weeks ago, I went to a lecture here in Toronto. And I actually didn't post about it on Instagram, but it was awesome. And it was a lecture by Jordan Peterson. And you guys know my story. This is not going to be what this episode is about, the power of changing your opinion about somebody, because I used to absolutely hate him so much. And then I actually read one of his books and I was like, oh, this is like actually really, really good self-help, self-improvement advice. And I'll probably do another episode about my transformation with that and how my experience from hating to adoring somebody, a thinker, a public intellectual, how that inspired my read a book by someone you don't think you're gonna like challenge. Because I really do think it can change your life and you can unlearn some of your assumptions and you can learn a lot about how much sometimes you can think you know something and then turns out you're wrong. And I think we have to be humble enough to admit that. But anyway, that's another episode. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about something he said in that talk that I thought was really beautiful. And the talk was, it was all about striving to be your best self, having tenacity and perseverance and grit when we are facing adversity and challenges and horrible things happening in our lives, honestly, the message is incredibly positive. And he did use a lot of Christian stories to make his point. I'm not really going to be getting into that. I'm not a Christian at all. But I did think it was interesting. And so there's one phrase in particular that I wanted to speak on today. And so that phrase is as follows: the spirit of your aim responds to your prayer. The spirit of your aim responds to your prayer. And yes, Jordan Peterson said that out of his mouth. I thought it was really beautiful. And to me, that's an incredibly witchy statement. It's an incredibly magical statement. It is a statement that reminds us that when we speak our intention, whether that is through prayer or witchcraft or whatever, that the energy in the world, our own energy, the vibes, the ancestors, the spirits, whatever it is that we believe in, all of that can help conspire with us to reach that aim, to achieve that goal, to put our energy towards that thing. So if we break this down, it's in kind of two parts, right? There's the spirit of your aim. I think that is one part, and then prayer is the other part. And so prayer, we could say, is our intention, our vision, what we're wishing for, our dreams, our goals. We need to know all of that stuff in order to do witchcraft, in order to do magic, and also, even aside from that, in order to improve our life circumstances in whatever which way that is, and in whatever area of life that is, whether that's just personal development, trauma healing, dating, love, fitness, health, whatever it is. The prayer is the intention. And the spirit of your aim, I see that as the energy combined with action. And so there is that typical phrase, what is it? Like energy cannot be created or destroyed, it just changes forms. And I do see that as very much what this is about. Like we all do have this energy. Yes, we can raise it, we can pull it up from the earth, and we can direct it towards something. That's what magic is all about. It is about summoning up that energy and directing it towards something. We could say that magic is all about directing the spirit of our aim towards what we are praying for. We could say that. In my mind, that would be correct. And then the other thing with this is like we actually do have to have an aim. We have to have a direction, even if that direction is just improvement. Like I have done magic before where there was no aim other than please release from my life that which no longer serves me. And I had a 5-year relationship, 6-year relationship, whatever it was, end within a few weeks. Someone I thought I was going to marry. And the universe was like, nope. Your aim is to only be with what you are in alignment with and what is in service of your highest and best good in your healing. This person is not it. Nothing wrong with him. Great guy, but no. And so the spirit of the universe responded to that intention, that aim. The energy is the spirit, the aim is the movement, and the prayer is the intention. And so magic needs all of these things. And yet I see a lot of people in magic and otherwise, not doing anything, watching Netflix every day, um, living a life they're not super stoked about, and yet they're not doing anything. They're not making any changes. Maybe they have the prayer, but there is no spirit and there is no aim. We need all these things to do magic. We need all these things to change our life. And I would say this spirit, energy, vibes, whatever way we want to call it, can be summoned by a prayer, by an intention. And so I loved the talk. I thought it was great. And I do think this is such a beautiful phrase for anyone who is witchy or magical to keep in mind. Even if you hate him, like that's fine. I really don't care. That's your own prerogative. But I do think that there is something beautiful with this because magic ultimately is, in my mind, the best magic is the magic we do on ourselves to control and shape ourselves to help us release pain, to help us move towards growth. Magic that helps us control our negative urges or our like bad addictions to it could be anything. I don't even mean substances. I even mean like addictions to unhealthy people or process. Like maybe we're shopping too much, or maybe we are, I don't know, a sex addict or something. Like whatever that bad coping mechanism is, like all of that we can release. We can reroute that. We can choose differently. And magic, I think, can help us do that. But I do see a lot of folks who are wasting this beautiful potential of what magic is and what prayer is and of what energy work is. And a lot of folks are just engaging in very like low level behavior, let's say. And I've had some conversations recently about like witch wars and people cursing each other for the most stupid shit. And to me, that is really depressing. And it's not what witchcraft is about. Yes, we can do witchcraft on other people. That is a thing that we can absolutely do. Ideally, is that something we should be doing? Like, not really. In my opinion, not unless it's an emergency. And so, what we really should be doing, in my mind, is focusing our energy and attention on the one thing in this world that we do have some control over, which is ourself. And you'll probably notice that once you control yourself, you improve yourself, the world will like it will change around you. Everything will begin to look different. You'll begin to attract different opportunities, different people, you'll begin to be in different environments. And I feel really strongly, really passionately about the importance of always moving towards growth, improvement, and learning. Because it really is never done. We can always heal a little bit more. We can always learn a little bit more. And this isn't to say that we should be in this endless space of dissatisfaction. Actually, to the contrary. I think actually our growth is best supported when we already do feel satisfied and content and whole, actually. So I want to leave that with y'all. The spirit of your aim responds to your prayer. How can we sum that up? Inspired action should follow clear intention. Our energy work should be backed up by our physical world work, and we should have a clear idea of where it is we want to go, at least to some degree, even if it is like push me towards my highest and best good. That's enough of an intention. All right, y'all, I'm gonna leave you with that. Perhaps controversial, perhaps not, but I thought it was a really lovely phrase that I actually had to pull up my phone and write it down when I was at the talk. So I wanted to talk to y'all about it. I think it is a really fun way to talk about magic, even though it's totally not what he was talking about. He was talking about life improvement and Christian principles and all of that stuff. And this is a thing, right? This is part of why I do think it's so important to read widely, is even though this person is a Christian, I can recognize some of my own worldview, my own belief system in magic and witchcraft. I can recognize that just in what he's saying, but by different words in a different language. But the vibe is similar in some ways, right? It is all about that growth, that movement, summoning of spiritual forces to help us and be that wind in our sails as we move towards our goal. It's very chariot tarot card energy, which I love. All right, y'all, I'm going to end that there. Quick little tiny episode for you guys today. I hope you guys are doing amazing. As always, I would love to read tarot for you, and I would love to work with you as a coach or a mentor in any of the things. I've had some inquiries recently from folks who want creative coaching, and I'm happy to do that. I have a lot of experience there, so I'm happy to get there as well. All right, y'all, that is it. My website is sabrinamscott.com. I hope you're doing fantastic. If you do have something you would like me to talk about, let me know. Please reach out. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to help guide you on your journey. I'd love to help answer some questions that you might have about witchcraft, magic, spirituality, self-improvement, trauma healing, like creativity, whatever it is that comes up for you. Please do not be shy. Happy to help. All right, y'all. Take care. Bye.